G'day guys, I have a different kind of video for you today because I have a very special guest. It's actually someone I've always had a complicated relationship with. We've insulted each other more than anyone else has. We don't exactly build up each other's confidence, and it is this person right here, my reflection in the mirror. And I've just been thinking that you and me need to finally make amends and come to a much more positive and constructive relationship with each other. I think it's true that throughout our lives, we've often looked for the flaws in each other. We've picked apart what's wrong with our personality. We've looked each other in the eyes and we haven't exactly said that we truly respect each other. I think it's time that we totally change this relationship. The reason I'm thinking about this is because I have been taking the self-love journey, which is Huda Iyande's online course that's all about changing the relationship we have with ourselves. And I realized that the mirror can be a very profound tool to help us change that relationship. So I've come up with 5 questions that I'm going to ask myself whenever I look in the mirror. And I think these 5 questions will help to change that relationship. And I'd love for you to ask yourself these questions as well as we go through this video. I'm going to share the first question in just a moment, but first I want to tell you where I am. This is Cairns in northeast Australia. It's where my parents have moved to recently. So I just flew in from Singapore last night. I'm about to walk along this esplanade to go and visit them for dinner, and I want to show you this incredible place. And it's really much more than this. There is the Daintree Forest just to the north, the oldest rainforest in the world, the Atherton tablelands nearby, beautiful mountain ranges everywhere. I just absolutely love this place. But I'm going to head down from this hotel now to that esplanade. I'm going to get to the first question just as we get down there. A lot of people ask why self-love is so important. I think there's a really good way to describe it. So a lot of people in their relationships get their validation from the way someone else feels about them. In my own case, that's what used to happen. When I had a girlfriend, I used to live with her. We were really close. We were close to getting engaged, getting married. And when I look back to that time, I realized that actually it was probably a codependent relationship. My whole mood would just transform based on the way she was feeling. If she was in a bad mood, I would just feel absolutely terrible. If she was in a good mood, I'd feel on top of the world. And I just really wanted to please her, wanted to make her happy. And she was doing nothing wrong. I mean, we're all moody. The problem was me. The problem was that I was the one who had learned to get my validation from the way she was feeling in those moments. And most especially when she thought highly of me. That's when I felt really great about myself. What I had to do was to change the way I'd actually get that validation. I had to learn to get the validation from myself, the way I saw myself, the way I would applaud the things I was doing in life. Basically, I had to plant myself at the center of my being. That was the most important thing on giving up on these codependent dynamics in my life. And that's why self-love is so important, because when you can learn to truly love yourself, when you can learn to truly plant yourself at the center of your relationships, it's not about being selfish and being individualistic, but it's about constructing that sense of self-confidence so that our relationships can come from a much more secure place. That's what this self-love journey is all about, and that's why I'm so inspired by this idea today, and what made me think of using this mirror as a self-development tool to finally reconstruct that relationship I've got with myself. And I think that if you play along with me today and you do the same thing, then you can also arrive at this very powerful place by the end of this video. The first question is, do you see your flaws as strengths? Is there any way that you can look at those things that you've always seen as not being quite right and seeing that actually they're the things that make you look unique? I was thinking about this because day 2 of Huda's self-love journey is all about duality and seeing our flaws as our strengths. There's a very powerful exercise in there to help you do that. So if this is really difficult for you to do check out the self-love journey via the link in the description below. But let's get to the next question. The next question is, can you see the stories in your lines? So if you're like me, you do have lines starting to appear, and we can run away from that and try to hide them, or we can see that in those lines are the stories of a life well lived. For me, I always used to worry so much about sleep. I'd look in the mirror and I'd be so paranoid about seeing tired eyes. But then I met an entrepreneur one time who was telling me that he was an investor, a successful entrepreneur that became an investor. And he said that he always looked for tired eyes in entrepreneurs because he felt like they were the ones that were working harder. So I'm not advocating for people to work themselves to the bone to end up with tired eyes, but the point is that we all look for different things, and that investor was certainly seeing tired eyes as a strength, and it can certainly be the case with the lines that we see in our face, the stories of a life well lived. The third question is, do you recognize your potential? So when you look into the mirror and look deep into your own eyes, do you see the dreams that haven't yet been achieved? Can you see the goals waiting to be articulated and strive towards? Can you see the things that can possibly be created in the future from the way you relate to yourself and your goals and your hopes and your dreams? The fourth question is, can you see the challenges that you've overcome? So when you see that face staring back at you in the mirror, can you see the resilience that has been built up from the way you've faced up to what's been difficult in your life? Do you see that the challenges are what builds your character, that makes you stronger? Do you see that every challenge you've faced has always been an opportunity for you to take responsibility for everything that's happening in your life, and know that even when times are hard, that's when we find out who we truly are? The fifth question is, do you see loving and compassionate eyes looking back at you? Do you see the eyes of someone who understands that you've been through a lot and you've achieved a lot just by being here right now? Can you offer yourself the same loving and compassionate sense of understanding that you would offer to any other loved one in your life? Can you offer yourself that same kind of energy? So those are the 5 questions that I encourage you to ask yourself next time you look at yourself in the mirror. If you find it difficult to do this exercise, then I encourage you to check out Huda Iyande's self-love journey. There's a link in the description below. It's a 7-day journey that has videos by Huda Iyande explaining things like the duality of our nature, going through the way that society stops us from loving ourselves, all of the different things that get in the way. And he helps guide you to a place of radical self-acceptance, of truly accepting all parts of yourself so that you can truly love yourself. And the impact that this can have in your own life is extraordinarily profound. It can reframe your relationships at a very deep level so that you can finally come to your relationships from a place of self-love. So I encourage you to try out this mirror exercise, to ask yourself these 5 questions, to finally embrace self-love. And if you feel like you need a little bit of help on this journey, then check out the online course in the description below.